Shooters was the emergency. You have the air. Shot fired. I think you're heading off the shot squad. Officer shot. 3751 South Polk at a 10-1. We need more cars, 56 Aberdeen. Also got a person shot, 5616 South Aberdeen. And we're looking for a male black suspect, a red hat, a red shirt, and he was running. He shot a police guy. Still got him.
In the line of duty, cops learned the hard way that false social media claims put them and the city in danger. On August 9, 2020, 4 Chicago cops in an SUV responded to a call from a civilian of a man waving a gun around in a park where kids were playing on the 5700 block of South May in the Englewood neighborhood. When cops arrived at the park, they spotted the man matching the description of the man with the gun. Cops began to chase him down with the SUV. Then 3 of the 4 cops jumped out to confront 20-year-old Latrell Allen. He ran and then suddenly turned, pulled out a gun, pointed it at cops, and fired 8 shots at them while they were pursuing him on foot. 2 of the 3 cops returned fire, firing 13 shots, striking Allen in the shoulder. He fell to the ground for a moment, dropped the gun, and then got up and ran through a vacant lot, and they lost him on the 5600 block of South Aberdeen Street. The blood trail left by Allen eventually led half a dozen cops to his location, and they quickly stormed the house and started searching for him.
Hey, no one else come to the house. Hey, is anybody upstairs?
Hey, confirm this is off of Aberdeen, 5616 Aberdeen. Who's the guy that shot the suspect? High base right now. Okay, who's giving the perimeters? Try it again. Say it again. 6791, start that perimeter at 56th Street. All right, 10-4, we got you.
You gotta make it over here, dude.
720 or anyone with engine 116 has the engine and ambulance hold up. Do not send fire in there as of yet. Somebody confirm that. Do not
Let
send
me
fire
see your hands.
10-4.
Put your hands up.
They found him bleeding out in the basement and talked him out, and he did come out without incident. Allen's gun was recovered near the spot where he fired from, and no cops were shot in this incident.
Anybody else down there? No. Sure.
We still have to check you for weapons.
Dozens of other cops responded to the call of shots fired at police. When they arrived, they were aggressively confronted by residents. When they let Allen out of the house in handcuffs, covered in blood, residents started to attack the arresting cops, both verbally and physically.
Get him out of here. Come on, get him out of here. Hey! Get back! Get back! Get the back! Go! 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 Zuma, I gotta find you. Wolf here, Zuma. Wolf right here. What's your name? Get the back! Get the back! Get back! Don't touch me, bitch! Yeah, beat the fuck out you. Get the back! Back up on your side of the street! You're not doing this. Get the fuck back! Take him in! Stop it! Hey, stop! Get back! This is my car. Don't fucking touch me! Oh my God, this way!
Very hostile. Emotions were running high.
A confrontation between community members and Chicago police during an officer-involved shooting investigation near 57th and South Racine.
We did have an officer that was maced by someone in the crowd. We do have an officer that sustained a shoulder injury from the incident with the crowd. One of our vehicles, the windows were shattered by a brick.
We saw the officer who appeared to have been pepper sprayed pouring water into his eyes at the scene and then being escorted away.
Latrell Allen was taken by ambulance to a local hospital where he was stabilized, but he was still in critical condition and would survive. And over the course of the day, more fuel was poured on the fire from one lady from the neighborhood. She claimed,
"You're saying your son was just trying to run away and he was not armed?"
"No, he was not armed."
Police say that's not true and tweeted this picture of a gun recovered near the scene of the shooting. They say officers were fired upon and returned fire. So the police officers where you're standing, and Latrell is down here?
Yeah.
This woman, Tanisha Caldwell, claims she saw the final moments as officers opened fire. She says he had no gun.
He was crying, asking the officer. He had his hands up, like, why you keep shooting me?
Somehow he was able to keep running despite the bullet wounds and made it into this house.
and Alan's mother went before the camera and said this.
We got him coming.
He said, "Mom, the police shot me." I said, "They shot you?" He said, "Yeah, they shot me 5 times." I said, "Latrell, did you shoot them?" He said, "No, Mama, I did not shoot them. I was just running."
Go in the house.
And the media, for once, was not buying what Alan's mother was selling and confronted her on it.
His mom confirms pictures posted on social media of a man holding weapons are pictures of her son.
Yeah, I think so.
So he's got 2 guns in a picture. What does that image say to the public?
It says temporary. Be careful of him, yes.
And what you're telling us is that despite images like this that we see online of him, he's not that kind of guy. He's been arrested, but he's never been convicted, and he was just trying to run away.
Yes.
And by the end of the interview, she was caught in another lie when she claimed cops ransacked her house and punched holes in the walls looking for guns.
According to his family, police tore the house apart, opened up several walls looking for weapons.
In the Bodycam video, you can clearly see the filthy house was already ransacked by the people that lived there. And you can see holes in the walls while cops were trying to take Alan into custody. Cops did not need to recover the gun because it was found at the location where he fired at cops from. This is how the false narrative is created by many in the community. This fueled the explosion of criminality across the city that evening. This is where you would think the story ends. But no, this was just the beginning of this story. What Chicago police did not know at the time was there was a man going around telling residents a 15-year-old boy was just shot and killed by Chicago cops. And this easily riled up the mob, fueling what was to come. And this lie was not corrected by authorities for nearly 48 hours. And I must ask why.
The tension grew when police say a person at the scene spread what they say is misinformation about officers allegedly taking a cell phone from someone who community members say was recording the incident.
This right here is a direct response to one agitator being on the scene, getting people all worked up without having the full story.
The false information quickly spread like a wildfire across many social media platforms, enraging people. Then, to make things worse, a Black Lives Matter representative weighed in and fueled the false narrative with calls to loot in the name of social justice.
Anything they want to take it, because these businesses have insurance. They're going to get their money back. My people aren't getting anything except police, except tear gas.
Yeah, got him. He's in custody. Positive ID.
20-year-old Latrell Allen was charged with 2 felony counts of attempted first-degree murder and 1 felony count of possession of a concealed weapon, and a judge set his bond at $1 million. What I do not understand is why people in these communities attack cops when they are clearly trying to remove suspects with guns that terrorize their communities. When the cameras are rolling, they claim they want the shootings to stop. But when you see incidents like this, and many others just like it, you start to realize they don't want change to come to their communities. And I think it's because they've become so used to the culture of gang violence. Instead, they should focus more on changing the failing violent culture that is now spreading across the city. And the truth is, no one wants to talk about this fact because the race flag gets raised every time it's attempted. There are some things in question in this non-fatal police-involved shooting. Neither of the 4 cops had body cameras, and I have to ask why. Allen's gun and 8 spent shell casings were found where he shot at the cops. And for this reason, this non-fatal police-involved shooting has been classified as justified.
Anybody else down there?
Now to our breaking news, the outbreak of looting and violence overnight. The extensive damage is still being added up. The city, officials, citizens, and community leaders are left asking why and how.
By the time the sun went down, social media platforms were used to link up large car caravans, and the caravans were organized in a large strip mall on 87th and the Dan Ryan. The largest concentration of looters rolled into the loop. The caravans were well coordinated and systematically blocked off entire city blocks with about 80 cars. And then about 100 people at a time jumped out and looted all the stores on that block, and then moved to the next block. And this tactic played out throughout the night. Most of the stores they hit were high-end retail stores. The CPD dispatched 400 additional cops to stop the looting, but there was just too many people. There were at least a couple thousand, and cops were clearly overwhelmed. Cops chased down and tackled some of the looters with arms full of merchandise as they were trying to get away, and just kept on arresting the ones they could catch throughout the night. The CPD was not prepared for either of these riots and the mass looting. CPD's leadership could not coordinate an effective strategy to combat the looters. And some of the rank and file told me this was all due to poor leadership from Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot and Police Superintendent David Brown. 2 people were shot over the course of the evening, and I just happened to drive up to one of the shootings minutes after it happened. A security guard was shot in the stomach in the middle of the street. He was critical, but did survive. There were 3 separate incidents where Chicago cops were shot at by looters, and no Chicago cops were hit in these incidents. Looters shot at cops to keep them away while they robbed everything that wasn't nailed down.
That the police-involved shooting here was related to the looting. Apparently this started when officers were trying to stop a couple of looters who had made their way over the bridge over here to Lake and Michigan.
In the last shooting incident, cops caught 8 people stealing an ATM and a cash register from the Billy Goat Tavern. As they poured out of the building, cops pulled up, and one cop threw his baton twice at 2 separate looters, hitting one of them in the head. Minutes later, the looters came back and opened fire on about a dozen cops, and they returned fire. Nobody was struck by the gunfire, but a rear window of a police SUV was shot out about 10 feet from where I was filming the madness. This riot was lawless and dangerous, and no person or property was safe from the violent mob. They stole shoes, clothes, jewelry, and electronics, claiming this is justice.
CPD became aware of several social media posts encouraging looting downtown. This was not an organized protest. Rather, this was an incident of pure criminality. This was an act of violence against our police officers and against our city.
Once again, constant male, Hispanic, white hoodie,
this guy.
blue jeans, gun with an extended clip.
In the line of duty, cops sometimes find themselves under attack and come to the realization there is a war being waged against them when a suspect opens fire on them with no warning. This non-fatal police-involved shooting took place on May 16, 2021, on the 1500 block of South Lawndale Avenue in the Lawndale neighborhood.
What are you trying to do, eh?
Cops responded to a shot spotter alert, and when they arrived, they came in contact with a witness that pointed out 45-year-old Bruce Lua, who the witness said had fired a gun with an extended magazine on it. The cops caught up with Lua walking down the alley and began following him on foot for a few blocks. While following him, cops repeatedly gave orders for him to drop his weapon and show his hands. And the cops even offered to help him if he needed it.
Your hands, buddy.
And he refused to stop and continued and kept on walking towards 16th Street. Just before he got to the end of the alley, the two officers arrived and jumped out of their squad with guns drawn and blocked his escape.
Show your hands, dude. Get your hands out of your
They
pocket.
quickly ordered him to show his hands. Within a blink of an eye, Lua pulled out a 9mm handgun from his sweatshirt and started firing, targeting the officer on the passenger side of the vehicle first. Then he continued firing at the officer on the driver's side.
Dude, stop. Put your hands up. Come on. Shots fired. Shots fired by the police. They're right there. God, drop the gun, man. Drop the gun. Just drop it. Just stay down. Drop the gun. Just put it. Don't move. Are you hit? Officer hit. Officer down. Officer hit. Officer down. Send an ambulance. Where's the gun? Where's the gun, dude? They shoot me. You shot at us.
Passenger cop Julio Garcia, age 28, was struck in the hand, and his partner, the driver, Mark Nakayama, age 25, was hit in the left hip and right shoulder. Garcia and one of the cops trailing the suspect also returned fire. It was Garcia that shot Lua in the leg. He immediately collapsed and was taken into custody. This suspect was able to squeeze off 5 shots while being surrounded in a close-quarter confrontation with 4 armed cops. And this should have never been allowed to happen.
You're gonna be fine. Guys, move back! Move back! Let's go! Move back! Move back!
Both wounded officers were taken to Mount Sinai Hospital, where they were treated and released the same day. 45-year-old Bruce Lua is a convicted felon who was also awaiting trial for a misdemeanor assault case. His bail in this case was set at $10 million, and they added an additional $100,000 bond for violating his bond in the pending case. According to Superintendent David Brown, officers Garcia and Nakayama became the 5th and 6th cops to be shot in the line of duty so far this year. There have been 16 Chicago cops shot in the past 15 months, and 108 cops have been fired upon over this same time period. Bruce Lua was charged with 2 counts of attempted murder, 2 counts of aggravated battery to a peace officer, and 1 count of unlawful use of a weapon. I have some procedural observations about this shooting. The first thing is the cop in the passenger seat got out of the car and had his gun lowered like he was holding a garden hose watering the grass. His gun was not directly fixed on the armed suspect coming towards him. This position taken by this cop was a big mistake. And the 2 cops tailing him were given a description earlier by a witness that the suspect was armed and had just fired his gun. And it had an extended magazine on it.
What are you trying to do, eh?
And this was immediately put out over the CPD radio. And the driver that jumped out also did not have his weapon fixed on Lua. And the other 2 officers that were trailing him had their guns in their hands but were not fixed on him either because they were so far behind him. Lua fired 5 shots surrounded by 4 armed cops, shooting 2 of them 3 times. It is very clear by their actions the 4 cops were operating from a de-escalation position and not a defensive one. This is what I call the non-confrontational stance of chance. This shooting is representative of the new police procedure of hesitation. Had the first cop that was shot had his gun targeted on Lua, the second Lua pulled the gun out, the cop would have had the advantage and shot him where he stood. But that's not what happened here, because cops are now hesitant for a whole host of reasons. And the policy of de-escalation in this case nearly cost 2 cops their lives. And I strongly believe they want cops to proceed in exactly this way, because then it leaves no doubt in the minds of the public that the piracy fears.
I moved it away.
This shooting has been classified, justified in every way.
Mark, you good? You good? Where you hit? Where you hit? Where you hit? Where you hit, Mark? Where you hit?
He's running. Go get him. Ball black. Ball south. He's running right now.
In the line of duty, a minor shoplifting incident turned into a very bloody encounter. This fatal police-involved shooting happened on March 25th, 2021. Chicago police responded to a call of a man shot at a Home Depot store at 4500 Southwestern Boulevard in the Brighton Park neighborhood. The shoplifting suspect, 18-year-old Trevon Chadwell, got into a struggle with a security guard at a Home Depot. 2 civilians tried to help the guard subdue the suspect. When they backed off, Chadwell pulled a gun and shot the security guard in the head. Then slipped his shoe back on and grabbed his small bag of stolen merchandise and fled on foot. 2 cops caught up with Chadwell a block away in an alley on 46th Street. The first cop that confronted Chadwell, Michael Kasurka, was shot by him in the back of the left shoulder, and the bullet exited out his right shoulder. And his partner, Bernard Lee, immediately pulled Kasurka to safety. This was clearly a careless position taken by Officer Kasurka, because the CPD radio transmissions described this suspect as armed and dangerous. And he had just shot a man, but Kasurka walked out into the alley and yelled, "What's up, man?" and was immediately fired upon and hit. He only had his radio in his hand instead of his weapon, and this was an extremely lax way in which he approached this armed, violent suspect, and this nearly cost him his life.
Lay down. You're all right.
and other officers eventually cornered him in the back of a residence, hiding behind two SUVs. He once again opened fire on the cops. At the back gate, there was a civilian, a man caught in the crossfire, and cops held their fire while he ran to the back gate to safety.
2540, he's right here in the back.
They got the offender in the backyard. Got the offender in the backyard.
Once they had the civilian out, other cops showed up in the alley, and Officer Houston manned the rear position by the gate. He sent the three other cops, 2 males and a female, around the front of the building to box him in. And they crept up behind him and made their way down a gangway and peeked around the corner, and there he was. And that's when he opened fire on them.
He's right there. Get in the front. Go in the front. Go in the front.
The offender is hiding behind the black Honda.
Come on.
Are there any units with the officer that's injured? Any units of the officer that's injured if this modifies that the officer was shot? We are in the yard at 2450 Road. We need the ambulance. EMS is en route. It is bonafide 2540 West 46.
Put your hands up.
EMS is en route. It is bonafide 2540
Put your hands down.
46.
And while Caldwell was distracted, Officer Qua had snuck into the backyard next door and peeked over a fence and realized he had a clear view of Caldwell, so Qua opened fire, hitting Caldwell multiple times, killing him. Cops quickly moved in and secured the scene, and then they started to treat the man's wounds that tried to kill them, but it was too late. He died on the scene. The wounded officer, Michael Kasurka, was released from the hospital later that day. He was the 4th police officer shot in the line of duty in less than 2 weeks over the month of March 2021. And the security guard, 55-year-old father of 3, Kevin Lockett, was a security guard at Home Depot for 6 months. He was just doing his job trying to stop a shoplifter. But what he didn't know was Caldwell was armed and very dangerous. He was shot in the head and critically wounded, leaving long-lasting issues from the shooting. He still has bullet fragments lodged in his brain and will suffer from this wound for the rest of his life. And all of this terror was brought on by 18-year-old Trevon Chadwell over a couple of stolen items in a plastic bag.
That's all right. Stay down. Stay down. Oh, no. I see it. Left shoulder. Lay down. Lay down. You're all right.
On March 25, 2021, the National Association of Police Organizations, NAPO, had its 29th annual Top Cops Award dinner in Washington, D.C. The 4 officers involved in taking down Trevon Chadwell were honored for their bravery. From left to right are 9th District police officers Bernard Lee, Tobias Houston, Jack Qua, and Michael Kasurka. Kasurka was shot during the takedown by Chadwell. All 4 cops received the NAPO 2022 Top Cop Honorable Mention Award. This is by far one of the best tactically executed takedowns of a violent suspect I have seen recently by street cops of the CPD, without the assistance of the SWAT team. This fatal police-involved shooting has been classified as justified. For nearly 2 centuries, the men of the Chicago Police Department have been taking the brunt of the extreme violence head on. And over the past 2 decades, things have changed, and not for the better.
Shots fired! Shots fired! Get the fuck back! Shots fired! Shots fired!
And what? Get some cars over here.
Fuck! We need a medic!
In the 10-1 at 300 block of 4 lane. In the 10-1, 10-1, 300 block of 4 lane.
Cops are now seeing violent criminals and gun suspects being released on electronic monitoring bracelets and are witnessing some of the most lenient sentences ever handed down by the justice system. That is clearly in decline. In 2020, the state of Illinois released thousands of inmates from jails and prisons across the state, including 64 convicted murderers, in what they claimed was an attempt to stop the spread of the coronavirus. And now, 2.5 years later, the public now knows the virus was used as an avenue to profoundly damage society. The governor of Illinois, J.B. Pritzker, and the state legislators never took into consideration the consequences for their actions and never gave a second thought about the victims of their crimes or the public that is now in danger due to these actions. And what about the cops that now must once again risk their lives rearresting some of these reoffenders? All these things combined have created low morale in the Chicago Police Department, and the public will ultimately pay the highest price for what's been done. This mass shooting incident is the result of another plea deal gone bad that cost 3 more lives. In 2009, Samuel Salas committed an armed home invasion that left 2 people dead in the Albany Park neighborhood. In 2014, he was charged with the crime, and he pled guilty in 2018 to 2 minor charges. The plea deal was reached in the 2009 home invasion. He was sentenced to 8 years in prison and got credit for 4 years served. And he was released on parole in September of 2022. And 2.5 months later, he committed this crime. He was charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder, 1 count of attempted murder, and 1 count of kidnapping. Hell of a deal, huh?
Okay?
In the line of duty, cops take thousands of guns away from those that cannot legally possess them. And sometimes the state of Illinois gives them back to the same people cops take them away from. This non-fatal police-involved shooting took place on June 5th, 2022, on the 6900 block of South Sangamon Street in Englewood.
Okay?
3 uniformed 7 district cops in an unmarked SUV on patrol saw 27-year-old James Halsey driving erratically, and his brake lights were out. Cops got behind him, and he sped away from them. And they chased him for a short period of time, and he made a mistake and pulled into a dead end, and that's when he tried to back out, but cops had him boxed in. And at that exact moment, 2 of the 3 cops jumped out of the police SUV with their guns drawn. And the driver, Officer Eric Moreno, charged up to Halsey's door with his gun in his hand, but pointing it downward, and said, "Stay in the car, don't move." As the door cracked open, Halsey had a gun in his hand and opened fire, striking Moreno in the arm and body, and then opened fire on the other 2 cops. Moreno got off 1 or 2 shots, and the cop in the passenger seat fired back and shot Halsey in the chest and leg, ending the shootout. Officer Moreno's partner quickly applied a tourniquet to his left shoulder to stop the bleeding, and then was quickly rushed by a fellow cop to the hospital.
Squad, we're taking 1 PO to UFC right now. Get him. Come on, bro. We have got 1 person shot.
I am always amazed when cops work so hard to save the life of a man that clearly wanted to end theirs. And I often wonder, would the public do the same for this guy if he tried to kill them? I don't think so. When cops searched Halsey's car, they found a bag with several extended magazines and recovered the weapon used in the shooting. Halsey was charged with 2 counts of attempted first-degree murder, as well as individual counts of aggravated battery, and his bond was set at $1 million. Officer Moreno was released from the hospital a week after the shooting. Days later, the prosecutor at Halsey's bond hearing said he had a gun case from May 2019, consisting of 2 counts of unlawful possession of a firearm. A deal was struck and he received 1 year probation. In the charging document filed in Cook County Criminal Court against Halsey, prosecutors learned his record was never expunged or sealed. So why did the state of Illinois give him a FOID card and a concealed carry license? According to multiple reports, he slipped through a loophole designed by the state. And once again, we see the bureaucracy fail. Their mistake nearly cost 3 cops their lives. And this is the system that wants to take law-abiding citizens' gun rights away, one legislative move at a time. This police-involved shooting has a couple of issues that need to be addressed. Number 1, they should have activated their lights once they started chasing him, because they were in an unmarked SUV. And I found the way the cops charged at the vehicle for a brake light violation and fleeing was a bit aggressive and extremely dangerous, because they did not know who or what was in the car when they charged the vehicle. It was clearly a cowboy move. What they should have done was position themselves behind the doors of the squad and targeted all 3 guns on the driver and ordered to see his hands, and then ordered him out of the car. But that didn't happen. Procedure is important when maintaining the safety of police officers. You see, in the beginning, I noticed some in the media were trying to create their own narrative by focusing on the unmarked SUV, then on no police lights during the chase, and they further claimed Moreno was in civilian clothes. And no, he was in a full uniform. The narrative they were trying to create was that Halsey fired because he didn't know they were cops. Luckily, this false narrative never gained traction. And this is how some in the media operate here in Chicago. On October 2022, Officer Eric Moreno received the Police Memorial Foundation Valor Award. These awards are given annually to officers who have shown exceptional bravery and service to the city.
We got shots fired by the police, and that's the police behind the 25th district. That's fired at the police. Officer down. It's gunshot to the chest.
In the line of duty, one big mistake by cops can have catastrophic consequences for other cops. On July 30th, 2020, Chicago cops responded to a call of a suspicious vehicle on the 4800 block of North Avenue in the Austin neighborhood. When they arrived, they spotted a white Porsche sitting unattended, so they ran the VIN number on the car, and it came back stolen. And it was stolen in a violent carjacking at gunpoint days before. Cops were in their squad car starting paperwork to have the Porsche towed when out of nowhere, armed career criminal, 25-year-old Lovell Jordan, walked directly in front of them and got in the driver's seat of the Porsche, then started to drive off. Cops immediately grabbed Jordan, and a struggle took place in the driver's seat. They got him out of the vehicle and placed him under arrest, and immediately put the cuffs on and started to search him. The cops found weed and cash. After cops finished searching him, they put him in the back seat of a police SUV that just happened to arrive on the scene. Originally, they requested a wagon, but this cop showed up first and took him to the 25th District Station in Hanson Park. The arresting cops stayed on the scene with the stolen Porsche. While en route, Jordan slid the handcuffs down below his butt and down his legs and over his feet. He now had his cuffed hands in front of him. When Officer Jason Cloherty arrived at the rear entrance of the 25th District with suspected carjacker Lawndale Jordan, he went to open the rear door, and Jordan raised his arms up and had a compact semi-automatic pistol in his hands, and he opened fire, striking Officer Cloherty in the chin. He immediately backed away and went down and crawled to the other side of the police SUV. Then Jordan took aim at the next two cops. Officer James Rowe was shot in the hip, and Officer James Kurth was shot in the chest area of his bulletproof vest. When the first shots were fired, cops started pouring out of the police district building. At the height of the battle, 6 cops took on Jordan. Jordan ducked in and out of the back seat to fire, and then took cover and ran around the open door to drop into a crouched firing position, and continued firing. Finally, he took cover between a car and the building. It was there Jordan was hit multiple times and finally fell to the ground.
Jack, fire! Get behind the car. Where? In the Sally Port! Sally Port! He's behind the Impala! He's behind the Impala! Front of the Impala! Front of the Impala!
Towards the end of the minute-and-a-half firefight, Officer Cloherty got up bloodied and seriously wounded and rejoined the fight, moving out into the open and firing shots at Jordan, who by this time appears to be down. And those were the last shots fired in the battle.
Where's he at? Where's he at?
A total of 60 shots were fired in this incident. Jordan was shot multiple times by different cops during the firefight. He was taken to Stroger Hospital in critical condition and was reported paralyzed from the waist down. Lawndale Jordan has a decades-long gang history out of Bellwood, Illinois, and he was a 5-time loser, and he knew his stay in prison this time would be a long one, and was willing to kill cops to stop this from happening. 25-year-old Lawndale Jordan has spent a third of his life in prison. He was arrested many times and convicted 5 times. In 2012, he was convicted of heroin and cocaine possession. And again in 2015, he was convicted of drug possession. And in 2016, he was convicted of drug possession for a 3rd time. In 2016, he was convicted of aggravated assault and fleeing from police. In 2017, he was caught with a gun and convicted as an armed habitual criminal. In April 2020, he was paroled from the Pinckneyville Correctional Center after serving half of his 5-year sentence. And from April to June, he was put on an electronic monitor. The looks of this guy, along with his criminal history, makes him the poster person for danger and caution. And unfortunately, the cops that arrested him didn't see him this way. And that was evident by the way they handled him. Now, there are many things wrong with this incident, and they all started in the beginning. The first thing is when they cuffed him and took him into custody, they searched him and found cash, his IDs, a lighter, and a phone. But they did not run his name into Central Dispatch to see who he was. Instead, they turned him over to the transfer car. And the cop that took custody of Jordan He showed up as the arresting cops were searching him.
Nope.
So why would he feel the need to research him again?
Look at my hand. This shit hurt. I got marked everywhere. Please. Unreal. Got his ID or something? Yeah, I got it in there. Unbelievable.
During the two searches of Jordan, once on the ground and the other while he was standing up against the squad, Jordan used every crybaby manipulative tactic to stop cops from searching his upper and lower crotch area. He clearly had a small handgun lodged between his legs, and never did I see these two cops pat down his front or between his legs. Cops asked during the search, "Why are you curling up your legs?" Jordan says, "It's my phone in my left pocket, it hurts." He then started to cry about not being able to get on his knees, because I believe he didn't want the gun to fall out. He then got up slowly with the help of the cop and kept complaining about changing the cuffs from his back to his front because of his medical condition. And the cop refused and began searching him again. And Jordan tells the cop he needs to sit down because he has asthma, and continues crying about burns on his hands and his legs. And he did all this while he kept the front of his body concealed tight against the police SUV.
Just chill. I gotta sit down. I need to sit down.
You're gonna sit down in a second.
You put me in your vehicle, sir.
His intention was to get the cops to reverse the cuffs from the back to the front of his body so he could pull the stolen gun out and shoot all three of these cops in the street and then escape.
What's wrong with you, man? Yeah. Right in front of us, man. Right in front of us. Put it in the car. What else you got?
The most basic police procedure taught at the police academy is how to search a suspect. And these two cops failed miserably in implementing this procedure. And there are a couple of reasons for this failure. Jordan was crying like a little baby about his discomfort and medical conditions. And I believe, because the body cams were rolling, cops did not want to come off on camera as overly aggressive towards Jordan and his false claims of pain and discomfort, which in their minds could have resulted in charges for violating his civil rights during the arrest. And then there is the distraction tactics and manipulation by Jordan that successfully kept cops away from the area of his body concealing the gun. His keys, his phone, and his burns on his hands and legs were being constantly complained about. And I never heard of any disciplinary action taken against these two arresting officers. The bottom line is, these two cops' actions are solely responsible for the chain of events that followed. The CPD brass brushed the failure in procedure under the rug every chance they got, and turned the focus to the 6 heroic cops that took on Lawndale Jordan. In September 2020, the 6 officers involved in the shootout were honored by the Chicago Police Memorial Foundation and received awards for bravery in the line of duty. The truth is, these police officers would not have had to put their lives on the line that day if it wasn't for the failure of the arresting officers. In 2022, Lawndale Jordan pled guilty, and 2 months later, he was sentenced to 31 years in prison. A short time after he was sentenced, Lawndale Jordan died when he hung himself in his jail cell. All of the officers shot in this incident made full recoveries. In the next episode of In the Line of Duty Chicago, highlighted is how the gang culture is corrupting and killing young teens in Chicago, and a split-second decision by a cop cost a young teen his life. And off-duty cops are frequently becoming victims of crimes in the neighborhoods across the city. And analyzed are 2 shootings that are responsible for the new foot pursuit policy that now forces cops into Democrat-mandated selective policing. and 2 cops get caught in a lie about why they gunned a man down in the street.